Oh, what a wonderful thing. All this can be yours. About 250K. BMW's new M4 is one of the sweetest driver's cars on the market, but there's another BMW that makes that look a little bit soft. This is the BMW M4 GT4, a 500 horsepower, 3,100 pound track-only monster that I just got the privilege of driving myself. And you now get to come along with me for a couple hot laps. All right, we're heading out onto the track in the M4 GT4. To grab a first gear, you use a shifter just like a normal M4, but that's about the only thing that's the same as an M4. To adjust your seating position, you can't actually. This is a little bit like the Ford GT, let's say, where this chair is actually bolted directly to the chassis of the car. So if your legs are too long or too short, or your arms are too long or too short, then that means that what you actually do is you move the steering wheel forward and back, and the pedals can slide forward and back as well. A little bit like the Ford GT. But I am now all strapped in. We're coming up to speed. I've got a warm-up lap here. I've got another, I think it's an M3 ahead of me there, so he's going to pace me through my warm-up lap as I get going. And yeah, this feels a little bit different than a normal M4. The steering wheel, of course, is unlike the road car in a big way. It is a yoke-style thing. You Tesla fans will definitely appreciate that. But unlike a Model Y, full range of lock-to-lock is, I don't know, maybe 180 degrees. I only really need to do that to go around a hairpin turn, so a yoke works absolutely perfectly here. The other big difference is actually underneath my left foot. The brake pedal in this thing feels like I'm kicking a brick floor. The pedal barely moves at all, even when I'm leaning on this thing as hard as I can. Nicely, there's a readout on the dashboard here that tells me exactly how hard I am stepping on the brake pedal. And Bill Oberlin told me how hard I should be stepping on it, somewhere in the order of, I should be developing between 50 and 60 bar of pressure from the brake system, and it reads out in there. So my goal is to try to stomp on this pedal hard enough to get up to that point and maybe engage the ABS. We'll see how we're doing. The other thing Bill Oberlin told me, and trust me, when BMW racing great Bill Oberlin tells you to do something, you should probably do it. He told me to start out in wet mode here, which is exactly what I'm doing. There is a traction control system in this car that will help you to avoid spinning this thing, which is exactly what I don't want to do today. So we're in wet mode right now. We're coming up to temperature, and we're going to actually start running some hot laps here at Thermal Raceway. I should mention, by the way, I'm at Thermal Raceway, which is a very nice private club. If you're lucky enough to be a member here, then congratulations. I'm lucky enough just to play here for the day. All right, we're coming around the final corner on the front straight. Let's see how we do in the M4 GT4. Foot to the floor. Oh, yes. Now we're running somewhere around 450 horsepower today. The car has various different power sticks, they call them. Basically, you can plug in a USB stick and get as much or as little power as you need based on which racing organization that you're racing with. Right now, we're running the same configuration that Mr. Oberlin would run on his car in the race. So again, we're in the mid 400 horsepower range. Roughly the same as a road-going M4. The feedback of this is phenomenal, as you can imagine. Get the tail out a little bit there. Being bolted directly to the floor of the car. They do that to reduce the amount of flex in the seat so that you get a much more direct feeling from the car. And I can feel every little ripple in the pavement here, right through my posterior. All right, coming on the back straight here. I have no idea how fast I'm going because although I have a digital display in front of me with all sorts of telemetry, speed is, oh, there it is. Okay, that was about 130. Let's see if we can do a little better next time. Whoa, left-hander, bit of a neck stretcher here. The car feels so incredibly well poised. I was told to not touch the brakes as I transition to this right-hander here, and just a little lift of the throttle as I go to the left again. If you need the nose to correct, just a little bit off the throttle, bring that nose right around. Oh, this is so nicely balanced. We've got a 7-speed DCT here. And again, unlike the road car, this one will not shift for you. And the shift paddles behind the wheel here are very small and incredibly precise. Just a little flick of your middle fingers, all you need to grab the next gear. We're running third gear through the majority of this course. I can just get up to fourth for a second before I dive back down again to third. I've been debating about second or third in these hairpins, but I was advised that third is probably the way to go to get a little better grip coming out. And again, down the back straight again. Here we go. I got a little better run this time than last time. Let's see if we can get down to the 3 before we hit the brakes. Oh, we're up over 130 this time. Hard on the brakes. Oh, boy. Oh, that's a good feeling. 6-point harness keeps me nice and tucked in here. It is getting a little loose through those transitions, which again is so much fun just to feel right on the edge of it. Oh, and back in the front straight again. Oh, this is a really good time. Now you would think that a race car would be really punishing and brutally hard to drive, but a lot of GT4 cars and GT3 cars too, they're not that bad. These cars are not really making more horsepower than the street cars. If anything, they're often running less power than a street car for balance and performance reasons to make the racing more even and more interesting. And you get so much grip from these tires that you can really, really push it in the corners, get that incredible feedback from the chassis and from the suspension. And it's just really mind-boggling how hard you can push these cars, but still have a good time and not really feel like you're in over your head until you get, of course, to that last 10th, and that's when things get interesting. All right, speaking of interesting, we're going up to dry mode. I'm gonna try second gear in this corner and see if I get a little more wheel spin coming out of it. Oh no, it still felt pretty good. Now this time I'm gonna see if I can get up to that 60 bar metric for braking hard. Oh, hey, yes, we get up to 70. I actually felt the ABS a little bit there. The pedal went just a little soft. This car does have ABS, but it's not like the ABS in your car. No vibration under your braking foot. Just a little bit of a softness of the pedal for a moment as the car figures out what you're trying to do. And right in the corner, and right around again. Car is definitely more lively in dry mode, that is for sure. A little less warning when it starts to step out on you. But this is a really great platform to learn on because the feedback is so good. And there's not so much power that you're necessarily going to get yourself in trouble coming out on the first lap. And because you have those power sticks, you can start with a relatively low horsepower car if you want to. And then as you get better, you can dial it up until you're hanging the tail out a little bit more than I'm probably comfortable doing right now. All right, let's try to run through a quick lap here at Thermal. This is the South course. A lot of very tight hairpin corners. Late apexing is really the name of the day. Hard on the brake at 4. Come around here again. I'm going to try third, try to get back to the apex here. There we go. When in doubt, late apex is usually the way to go, but definitely around this course, it seems to be very set up for that kind of thing. This corner, though, is really interesting. You kind of diamond it off, come in, hit this first apex, and then try not to take too much to the curb, and then come back for the second apex there. I took a little too much to the curb there. Quick left, right here. Quick as you can. And then back around another hairpin turn. This is one of the most important corners on the course because it takes you on this long, long back straight where we really let the car stretch its legs. Just up into fourth here. It's gonna get into fifth for a little bit. Again, up to about 130. And then hard on the brakes, as hard as anywhere on the track. And I got to transition off the brakes onto the throttle to a steady state here. Come around, catch this late apex. And then steady throttle through this left and right and left and back in the front straight. Oh. It's a pretty warm day. I'm very thankful that I have air conditioning today. Interestingly, the AC in this car, there's an air conditioning duct on my right knee here, but there's also one in the small of my back, which I'm going to tell you is delightful. Interestingly, the AC only works when you're on the brakes, because of course you don't want to give up any horsepower to this system. But on a hot day like today, it's in the mid to upper 90s here in Palm Springs today. On a day like today with the sun beating down, it is absolutely wonderful to have a nice cooling breeze. But speaking of cooling, I've been asked to cool the car down, so I'm going to idle through my last lap around Thermal here and see if I can collect my thoughts, and well, maybe let's just go to voiceover and I'll wind things up from there.
That was a hell of a lot of fun. I didn't get as many laps as I'd have liked, and having to slow down and wait for my chase car to catch up was a bit of a bummer, but it was enough to get a sense for what a joy the M4 GT4 is to hustle around the track. I've run many a lap in the GT4 in iRacing, and I'm very sorry to report that there is nothing like the real thing.